pimps, power, and pretty ladies. This is Black History Month, a 28-day celebration of Black exploitation films. With the Black exploitation era good and dead by 1988, it's been argued that Hollywood all but turned their backs on black writers and directors for major movies. Once they no longer saw a profit, the party was over. But what about all the kids who grew up watching these movies and grew a fondness for the over-the-top action and unintentionally funny production? Well, one such kid was Keenan Ivory Wayans of the famous Wayans family. While working on the stand-up comedy show Eddie Murphy Raw, Murphy gave Keenan the idea of making a parody of all the black exploitation films of the 70s, but for a modern day. Wayans took the idea and decided to make I'm Gonna Get You Sucka, a spoof film that pokes fun at the ridiculousness of the entire era, but at the same time shows great love and appreciation for the actors and their ability to entertain countless fans for over a decade. I'm Gonna Get You Sucka is not the first spoof film, but it can be argued it's the first one that focused purely on black humor. For somebody like me, the movie is and always will be funny as hell, but I can see somebody else not really getting it. The movie stars Keenan Ivory Wayans himself as Jack Spade, a young guy returning from the military determined to make a difference in his neighborhood. He comes home to learn that his brother died, not from ODing, but from OGing, which is wearing too much gold, and he's out to learn who's supplying it and to take them down. I love the fact that they never even explain how exactly you die from something like that, but it sets the silly tone for the film right from the start. There's even a running joke associated with it.
I wonder how he went to the bathroom with all this stuff on.
How do you go to the bathroom with all this stuff on?
How did you go to the bathroom with all this shit on?
The character Jack Spade grew up idolizing the neighborhood heroes of his childhood. You know, guys who fight crime and get rid of all the drugs just like every plot from nearly every blaxploitation movie of the 70s. And he really likes one in particular named John Slade, played by Bernie Casey from Cleopatra Jones. Even though he looked up to him, the movie makes it obvious he's not quite as tough, so simply being a fan of tough guys doesn't actually make you one. I'm sure he's not alone, as he was supposed to represent plenty of guys who looked up to those tough guys of the 70s. Other blaxploitation stars also appear in the movie, like Isaac Hayes, Jim Brown, and Antonio Fargas, and it's clever how the movie makes them come across like they're just too old for this shit. It makes it feel like these guys really were badasses in the 70s, but now that it's 1988, they would rather just pass the torch and live normal lives. For instance, Hammer and Slammer, played by Isaac Hayes and Jim Brown, run a rib restaurant. They pretend to be happy doing it, but they lose their patience in a classic scene with future famous comedian and actor Chris Rock.
Let me get one.
Right on. One order. One order ribs.
No. One rib.
One rib.
I sure am hungry.
One rib?
You got change for 100?
Look, we're gonna need an orthopedic surgeon to remove my foot from your ass.
Hammer. No, brother, don't do it.
There's way more familiar faces in the film, too many to name. I'd be here all day, but just know it's a who's who of famous black people that you will definitely recognize, including at least 3 Wayans family members. The humor is on point from beginning to end, even the subtle humor that you might miss the first time you watch it. I quote lines from this film all the time, and I even used the line from my Black Track video for House Party 2.
You a soldier boy?
Man, look at all those medals. You a soldier boy? My favorites are the ones that directly poke fun at the cheap and unrealistic nature of black exploitation movies. Like the scene where Jim Brown is chasing Kadeem Hardison through a parking garage with a stupidly oversized gun. Kadeem notices something that is never even thought of or brought up when watching these old movies. It stems from the fact that in movies like 3 the Hard Way, Jim Brown and Fred Williamson fired their guns way too many times and never reload or run out of bullets.
Now wait a minute, wait 1 minute. Now you got a 45 revolver that will take bullets. Now I got at least 20 shots and you never reloaded.
That's right.
Hold it.
He knows it's bullshit, but he doesn't even care, because who really does care about that when you watch these movies? It's this self-awareness that makes this movie a classic to me. I like how it also tries to give practical reactions to a lot of the silliness we just accept in those old movies. Like, why would cops line up to get their ass whooped by Jim Kelly when they have guns?
So, just you 57 punks against Kung Fu Joe? Master of Karate, Kung Fu, Jiu-Jitsu, and all other shit you ain't never heard of.
Another great scene involves Jack Spade's mother. I've already touched on how much the mothers in these movies are treated like afterthoughts and are written as useless without their sons. Well, I'm Gonna Get You Sucka flips that and makes Jack's mother, played by Janet Dubois of Good Times fame, into a no-nonsense ass kicker. But that's not the funny part. Remember that scene I talked about from Coffee where it was obvious a stuntman was used in place of a woman?
Hold it right there. Ain't nobody laying a finger on my baby.
Ma!
It's just one of those scenes that if you get it, it just makes it funnier, because knowing that sometimes the budget makes it hard to hide stuntmen just amplifies the humor. It's even better that I'm Gonna Get You Sucka goes the extra mile and completely changes the color of the character. I can talk about I'm Gonna Get You Sucka all day long, because it's one of my favorite movies ever, so I'm just gonna have to stop myself. Just know that it's one of the best homages to the entire genre ever made, and the fact that they used so many of the stars of that era and that they were self-aware enough to poke fun at themselves being fish out of water in a new era of heroes just makes it all even better.
Well, what makes you think you can be a black hero?
I'm an ex-football player.